At this point, Mill thinks that he's answered most of the basic objections to utilitarianism and sort of explained as much as he needs to about what utilitarianism is and what it says we should do. Remember, the basic rule is just this: make the world as well off as possible. We measure how well off the world is in terms of how happy the people in it are. Not just you, but in fact the total amount of happiness in the world. So at this point he's going to say, well, why should you be a utilitarian? What gives us a reason to follow utilitarianism? He'll say, look, it's the same reasons as other moral systems. First of all, there's reward and punishment. Many people follow the law because of rewards and punishments. You get rewarded for doing good things and punished for doing bad things. You can do utilitarianism for the same reasons, because making the world a better place is sort of inherently rewarding because the world is better. And making the world worse increases the amount of unhappiness or suffering, and that's just worse. You can also follow utilitarianism for an internal reason because of duty. Many people, he says, will do what's right because it's your duty to do so. Well, utilitarianism can motivate you in the same way, because our duties are generally to others, and utilitarianism says, in fact, that for the most part we need to prioritize others over ourselves, because I'm only one person, there are 7 billion other people out there in the world, and we all count exactly equally. So if I need to make the world a better place, chances are it's going to be to help somebody else out rather than just myself. So my duty can also correspond with utilitarianism. He'll wonder, is it unnatural to be a utilitarian? And he'll say, well, of course not. It's quite the opposite. Being utilitarian is totally natural because mankind conceives of themselves as within society. It's really hard to think of yourself as existing as a completely unsocial individual creature. And being in society entails certain duties, and those duties can be utilitarian to make everyone better off. In fact, they usually will be, because let's think about why we form societies. We form into societies for mutual benefit, because otherwise why would we bother? Being in society is kind of hard, and duties are no fun to fulfill for the most part. But we all get together, right, because being in society is better than being alone. And so we naturally incline, he says, toward at least basic utilitarianism. The only reason we're in society in the first place is because it makes everyone better off. And, if you think about it, a society of all utilitarians would be pretty awesome, because everyone would make sure that everyone is doing well. You wouldn't have a bunch of selfish, cruel people. You would have everyone making sure that everyone is doing well. This would be a near-perfect society, he thinks. So here's a short summary of what utilitarianism is like according to Mill. There's just one moral law, and this law says the following: do whatever makes the world happiest. How do we know what that is? Well, we need to go through sort of 3 steps. First of all, we need to alleviate as much suffering as possible. You can't have a happy world if everyone is suffering. Once you've done as much of that as you can, now you ignore who is made happy, and you just create as much happiness as you can. Not for yourself, not for anyone else in particular, you just do as much of it as you can. And finally, you favor high pleasures over low ones, so you pay attention to the intellectual and the moral pleasures rather than just the physical ones. We know that motives don't matter. Instead, all that we want on utilitarianism is to live in the best world that we can, because everyone is better off that way. This seems like the best possible world. Now here's one major objection, since I gave a few to Kant. Here's one major objection to utilitarianism that Mill doesn't consider, and this is the objection of the tyranny of the majority. So we know, right, that motives don't matter, and that individuals don't entirely matter for utilitarianism, right? We care about the world as a whole. So what if it ends up that we could make the world better off by doing something really terrible to you or to me, to any individual? What if, for example, a doctor could kill you and steal all of your organs and in doing so save 5 people's lives? It looks like, right, we kill one person and that's a bad thing, but we save 5 people and that's better, right? And so the math sort of works out that this is a better world. So it seems like utilitarianism is going to say, I must do this. It would be a good thing for me to do that. Well, it looks like, if that's true, utilitarianism is sort of monstrous, right? It seems like it says I need to steal your organs and kill you in the process to save other people's lives. If this is true, utilitarianism is actually pretty bad. We might think, of course, though, that there are some ways out. Right? You might think that living in the kind of world where you can be killed to have your organs stolen would actually make you pretty unhappy. And indeed, that the people who get organs from someone who was unjustly killed might be pretty unhappy too, right? So again, you need to weigh out, and this is a difficult task, but you need to figure out what kind of happiness really matters. And so it may end up that a case like this is impossible in utilitarianism, but it might be possible too. This and cases like it are great things to discuss on the forums this week, so I look forward to hearing what you'll all have to say. Have a great week.